The night on Vega 12 colony was colder than usual. A thin red mist floated above the metal streets, and every house stood quiet under the pale glow of the twin moons. Most humans were sleeping, unaware that something strange was moving through their peaceful settlement. Only the wind made a soft, lonely sound between the narrow walkways. Then, suddenly, knock. Knock, knock. The sound broke the silence like a warning signal. A shadow stood at the edge of the colony's perimeter lights. The cameras on the street flickered for a moment, as if something interfered with the signal. Then they focused, revealing a figure no one had seen before. It was a woman, but not human. Her skin was a faint silver blue, glowing softly in the dark. Her eyes were large, filled with fear and exhaustion. Her clothing was torn, as if she had been running for a long time. She held her arms close to her chest, shivering, breathing hard from cold and desperation. She moved slowly from one house to another, her steps weak and unsteady. She lifted her hand and knocked again. Knock, knock. A light turned on inside the house. A human family peeked through the window. When they saw her, their faces filled with shock. The father shouted, "Go away! We don't want trouble here." The mother pulled the curtains shut, and the lights went dark again. The alien woman lowered her head, whispering a broken apology. She turned away and walked to the next door. Every step looked painful, but she did not stop. She knocked again, her voice trembling. "Please, someone, help me." Another door opened only halfway. A man with a laser rifle saw her and instantly pointed the weapon toward her. "We don't take aliens here. Leave now before the patrol sees you." She raised her hands slowly, showing she had no weapon. "I only need shelter," she pleaded softly. "Just shelter, I beg you." But the door slammed shut in her face. She stood alone again, her breathing now sharper, more panicked. She pressed a hand against her ribs where a dark bruise marked her skin. She was hurt. And she was running from something. Or someone. Above the colony, strange shadows moved. In the clouds, silent, watching, the alien woman forced herself to keep walking. Her legs shook violently, but she kept moving through the cold night. Knock, knock. No answer. Knock. Still nothing. She looked around in terror, feeling the pressure of invisible pursuers closing in. Her species was known for sensing danger before it arrived, and now her instincts screamed at her. She had very little time left. She reached the far end of the colony, where one last small house stood alone. Lights off, windows dark. She hesitated. She had already been rejected by every human she approached. She had nothing left to offer except one thing. Her only chance for survival. She raised her hand and knocked. Inside, a human named Jace Rowan slowly opened his eyes. He was a quiet man, known for minding his own business, living peacefully away from the busy parts of the colony. He wasn't expecting visitors at this hour. But the knocking continued, soft at first, then desperate. When Jace stepped to the door, he paused. Something felt wrong. The air was colder, heavier. His instincts told him danger was near. He unlatched the door and opened it just a few inches, and there she stood. The alien woman collapsed to her knees the moment she saw him. Her voice broke with emotion and fear. "Please, human, take me inside," she whispered. I will be your wife if you give me shelter." Jace froze in shock. Her eyes were full of terror, and tears glistened across her silver blue skin. She was shaking uncontrollably. Before he could speak, a distant metallic roar echoed from the sky, like a ship lowering toward the colony. The alien woman looked over her shoulder with pure horror. "They are coming," she whispered. "If they find me, I will die." Jace's heart raced. Whoever was hunting her was close. Too close. The night suddenly felt alive with danger. He had only seconds to decide. Take her in. or leave her to be captured. The moment stretched like a thin thread, ready to snap. Jace took a deep breath and stepped aside. "Come in," he said. Her eyes widened with hope and disbelief. Outside, the shadow in the clouds moved closer. Inside, a story of danger, survival, and unexpected connection was just beginning. Jace guided the alien woman inside his small house and quickly closed the door behind her. The room was dim with only a single lamp glowing on the table. The alien woman stumbled toward the nearest chair and almost fell before Jace caught her. Her skin felt cold like metal left in winter air. Her breathing was fast and uneven. She looked like she was moments away from collapsing again. Jace placed a blanket over her shoulders and stepped back. He studied her closely with confusion and worry. He had seen many alien species during his time on Vega 12, but none looked like her. Her silver blue skin shimmered softly when she moved. Her hair was white like fresh snow, and her eyes carried a deep fear that made Jace's heart tighten. He spoke gently, hoping she would not panic. "Why did you say you would become my wife for shelter?" She lowered her head. Her voice came out weak and trembling. "In my culture, a woman in danger can request protection marriage. If a human accepts, she becomes part of his home. It is the only law that shields her from attackers. If I ask without offering this bond, no one helps. They fear punishment from the hunters who follow me." Jace tried to understand, but questions crowded in his mind. "Who is hunting you?" Her hands shook as she held the blanket tighter. "They are not from my clan. They are soldiers from the raiders who destroyed my world. I escaped during the Feyenda attack. They want something I carry. Something they will do anything to retrieve." Jace felt a chill crawl across his skin. Outside, a distant rumble echoed through the colony. It was faint yet sharp like thunder made of metal. The alien woman flinched at the sound. Her eyes locked onto the window with terror. "They have landed nearby," she whispered. "They will search every house soon. They always track survivors." Jace looked outside. The sky glowed faint red from the colony lights, but something darker moved behind the clouds. Shadows that did not belong to nature. His instincts screamed that danger was approaching fast. He turned back to her. "What do they want from you?" The alien woman hesitated. Her gaze dropped to the small glowing crystal around her neck. "This holds information about the raiders' command structure. Their codes, their weak points. I stole it during the invasion. I wanted to give it to a peaceful race so they could stop the raiders from destroying more worlds. If they recover it, they will erase everything. They cannot allow any race to learn their secrets." Jace stared at the crystal. The light inside it pulsed slowly like a tiny heart. No wonder she was being hunted. To the raiders, she was not only a runaway woman. She was a threat to their entire empire. Another distant roar shook the glass in the window. The alien woman gasped. "They are scanning the colony. If they detect my signal, they will tear through every house." Jace knew he had almost no time. His house was small. It had thin walls. No hiding space big enough for an adult. The alien woman looked ready to collapse again. She could not run. She could barely stand. If the raiders arrived now, they would capture her instantly. Her voice cracked as she spoke again. "I asked you to take me as your wife, because it is the only protection our laws recognize across colonies. If you claim me as part of your home, the raiders cannot remove me without facing the United Council. They fear political conflict. It slows them down. It gives time to escape." Jace felt the weight of her words. She was not asking for romance. She was asking for survival. A bond made from desperation, not desire. He stepped closer. "You want me to protect you. But why did you come to me last? Why not someone else?" She looked up at him with tired, hopeful eyes. "You were the only home with no fear in its lights. Every other door felt heavy with rejection. Yours felt calm. I followed the feeling. It was my last hope." Before Jace could answer, a loud stomping vibration shook the ground. The raiders were close. Searchlights swept across the outer wall of the colony. Metallic voices echoed through the air. The alien woman grabbed Jace's hand with surprising strength. "If they enter your house, I will not survive. Please decide now. Will you claim me or will you give me to them?" Jace stared at the door. The shadows outside were growing larger. The first knock from the raiders could come any moment. He looked back at her. Her eyes were filled with fear, hope, and trust he did not yet understand. Jace took a slow breath. His choice would change everything. Jace stood frozen for a long moment. The alien woman looked up at him, as if her life hung on the thin thread of his next words. Outside, the air shook again with a low metallic roar that traveled through the ground. The raiders were moving closer. Their ships always made the same deep sound that felt like a warning before disaster. Jace looked at the woman and finally spoke. "I will protect you. Stay close to me." Her eyes filled with relief. She placed a hand on her heart in her cultures. Sign of deep gratitude. Jace helped her stand, but she winced in pain. Her side was injured more than she had shown before. He guided her to a small room at the back of the house. It had no windows, and the walls were thicker than the rest of the building. It was the only place where she might stay hidden for a little while. The sky outside flashed with white searchlights. Jace shut the inner door and turned to face her again. "I need to know everything," he said in a steady voice. "If I am going to protect you, tell me the truth. I want to understand what I am facing." She sat carefully on the floor and rested her back against the wall. Her breath came slow and heavy. Her skin had lost some of its glow. The crystal around her neck flickered weakly like a lantern running out of power. "My name is Lyra," she said softly. "I was born on a peaceful world called Serana. My people lived with harmony. We were known for our knowledge of sound energy. We used it for building homes and healing wounds and guiding ships. We never used it for war. We believed no one would harm us." Jace listened without interrupting. There was something in her voice that made him feel her pain as if it were his own. "One night the raiders came," Lyra continued. "They attacked without warning. They wanted our technology. They wanted our sound knowledge because it can break metal and disable machines. My people refused to help them. They wanted peace, not destruction. The raiders destroyed our cities. They hunted anyone who resisted." Her voice trembled as she spoke the next words. "They took my sister. They took my father. My mother tried to protect me. She pushed me into a transport ship and used her last strength to launch me into space. I watched my home burn as I escaped." Jace felt a sharp pain in his chest. He imagined himself losing everything in one night. The thought alone felt unbearable. Lyra touched the glowing crystal around her neck. "This crystal contains the raiders' command codes. It also stores our research. It is the last piece of Serana that survives. If the raiders get it back, they will erase every record of my world. They will erase my people. I cannot let that happen." Jace knelt beside her. "How did you escape the raiders' ship? How did you reach Vega 12? She lowered her gaze. "I hid inside a cargo vessel. I moved in darkness and silence for many days. When the ship docked here, I ran. I hoped humans would show mercy. I hoped your kind would help. I knocked on many doors, but every house turned me away." Jace felt shame rise in his heart. He had no control over the choices of others, but the rejection she faced still hurt him. Humans were not perfect. They feared what they did not understand. "You knocked on my door last." "Why mine?" Jace asked again. Lyra lifted her eyes. "I sensed something calm inside your home. Not fear, not anger. A quiet strength. My people can feel vibrations of emotion through the air. Your home carried a steady one. It felt safe. It felt human." Her voice grew weaker. The wound on her side had started to bleed again. Jace tore a cloth and pressed it gently over the injury. She flinched but did not resist. Outside, heavy footsteps echoed across the colony. The sound was slow and rhythmic like marching soldiers. A harsh voice shouted orders through a speaker. Search every home. Find the runaway. No human is allowed to hide her. Lyra grabbed Jace's arm in panic. They are close. They will break down your door if they sense my energy. We must hide the crystal. Jace took the crystal carefully. Its glow warmed his hand. Your life is more important. The crystal can wait. First we hide you. Lyra shook her head. No. If they capture me, they will torture me until I reveal the crystal's location. Protect it. Even if I fail, save my people. The door outside shook from a powerful knock. Jace and Lyra froze. The raiders had reached his home. The final moment of safety had ended and danger stood right outside. The pounding on the front door shook the entire house. Dust drifted from the ceiling and the floor vibrated under Jace's feet. Lyra's breath caught in her throat as she pressed her back against the wall. Her eyes filled with fear that cut straight through Jace. He knew this was not an ordinary danger. These raiders were trained hunters. They could tear apart a home without hesitation. The pounding came again. A cold, commanding voice followed. Open the door. We are searching for an escaped female. Human resident must comply. Jace pressed a finger to his lips, telling Lyra to stay silent. He moved slowly toward the living room. His heart beat fast, but his steps stayed controlled. He needed to keep the raiders calm. Panic would give him away. He touched the inner door that separated Lyra from the rest of the house and whispered in the softest voice, "Do not make a sound." Lyra nodded with trembling hands. Her injury pulsed with pain, but she pressed herself deeper into the shadowed corner. She closed her eyes and tried to steady her breathing. The crystal's glow faded to the smallest flicker as if trying to hide itself. Outside, the raiders' boots stomped across the metal floor. Jace unlocked the main door and opened it halfway. A tall, armored raider stood before him. Its armor shone with dark patterns that looked like scars from battles across many worlds. Its eyes glowed with a harsh red light that searched every corner of the room. We detected movement. We detected fear. A female of the Serrana race is running. She carries forbidden knowledge. Have you seen her? Jace kept his expression calm. I live alone. No one has come to my door tonight. The raider leaned closer. Its breath made a faint metallic hiss. We will search your home. Jace felt a cold wave wash through him. If they entered the back room, Lyra would be found. He had only seconds to stall them. My home is small. There's nothing to hide. I am a simple worker. I have no knowledge of any alien woman. The raider stepped inside without asking. Two more followed. Their heavy armored footsteps echoed through the house and filled the air with dread. They scanned every surface with a glowing device that hummed with a sharp pitch. They opened cabinets. They looked under the table. They tore open storage crates. The house trembled with every movement. Lyra tightened her grip on the blanket around her shoulders. The sound of the raiders searching drew closer. Fear spread through her chest like ice. She pressed her hand over her mouth to stop herself from breathing too loudly. Her people could mask their presence with controlled breathing, but she was weak and injured. Every breath felt like fire. She whispered inside her mind, "Please, Jace, keep them away." The raiders reached the hallway that led to her hiding place. One of them paused. Its scanner beeped with a faint signal. Reading unstable energy. Something is near. Jace felt his heart drop. He stepped forward as if by accident and knocked over a metal tool on the floor. It hit the ground with a loud clang. The raiders spun toward the noise. That energy came from me, Jace said quickly. I was repairing equipment earlier. It causes leftover signals, nothing dangerous. The raider stared at him without expression. The scanner beeped again, but softer. Your tools are outdated. They create errors. Continue your repairs. If you see the fugitive, you must report. Jace nodded. I will. The raiders continued walking, but one of them slowed near the back door. It extended its hand toward the handle. Lyra covered her mouth harder. Her body shook with fear. If the raider opened that door, her story would end tonight. Jace felt panic rush through him, but he forced his mind to stay cold and steady. I have weapons in that room, he said firmly. The colony allows storage only under human control. You cannot enter without breaking our laws. The raider turned its glowing eyes toward him. A long silence filled the air. Jace held his breath. He hoped his lie was believable. The raiders respected certain trade laws with humans. They did not enjoy political conflict. Finally, the raider lowered its hand. For now you are clear. But the female is close. She will be found. They turned and left the house. Their heavy steps faded into the night, but their threat stayed behind like a poison in the air. He shut the door and locked it. He waited for a moment. Only silence remained. He hurried back to the hidden room and opened it. Lyra looked up with wide, shaking eyes. Did they find anything? Am I safe for now? Jace knelt beside her. For now they are gone, but they will return. We need a plan before daylight. Lyra touched his hand with weak fingers. You saved me again. Humans are stronger than my people believed. Jace looked toward the door. This is only the beginning. They will not stop, and we cannot hide forever. Outside, a distant ship roared through the sky. The hunt was far from over. The night grew quieter after the raiders left, but the quiet did not feel safe. It felt like the stillness before a storm. Jace watched the shadows outside for a long moment, then returned to Lyra, who sat weak and pale against the wall. Her breathing had improved slightly, but the fear in her eyes still trembled like a candle flame in heavy wind. You cannot stay here much longer, Jace said. They will sweep the colony again, stronger than before. They know you are close. Lyra touched the crystal around her neck. Its glow was dim but steady. They will not stop. If they take me, the knowledge in this crystal will vanish. My people will vanish. My world will become a forgotten name and forgotten dust. Jace felt something inside him shift. He had never liked violence. He had never searched for adventure. But now he felt a rising fire that surprised him. Someone innocent was suffering. Someone needed help. Humanity had always faced danger with courage. Humans were not perfect, but they were fighters. They were protectors. They survived storms that crushed stronger races. We need allies, Jace sighed. There is a resistance group on this colony. Small but sharp. They fight raider raids when the patrol fails. They do not trust the government, but they trust humans. They trust each other. Lyra listened with hope growing slowly in her eyes. If they help us, can we stop the raiders? We can try. Jace answered. Humans do not give up easily. He lifted her carefully and helped her sit on a cushion to rest. She looked fragile, but her spirit looked stronger than before. You have saved me 2 times already, she whispered. You risked your life for a stranger. Why do humans do that? Jace looked at her with a quiet strength. Because it is right. Because someone has to stand up. Because if we do nothing, the raiders will take more worlds. More lives. Humans fight not for glory. We fight to protect. The words reached Lyra deeply. She had heard stories about humans from traders. Stories that said humans were reckless and emotional. She never knew they also carried fierce loyalty and kindness that could rise in the darkest moments. Jace opened a hidden drawer and took out a small communicator. It was old and scratched, but still worked. He pressed a code that only a few people in the colony knew. A voice crackled through the speaker. Who is calling at this hour? "It is Jace Rowan," he said. "I need help. It is urgent." A long pause followed. Then the voice returned with tension. "You never call us. What is going on?" "I have a refugee here. A woman from Sarana. Raiders are hunting her. She carries something important. Something they fear." Another pause. "You are telling the truth." "Yes. Stay where you are. We are coming." Jace ended the call and turned to Lyra. "They will be here soon. They trust me. They will trust you too once they see the danger." Outside wind pushed dust across the yard. Far in the distance, a searchlight passed over the colony again. The raiders were circling like wolves waiting for a weakness. Lyra stood with effort. "I must help. I cannot only hide. I have knowledge of the raiders' tactics. I know how they think. If your people fight back, they will need every detail I can give." Jace nodded. "Good. That is the spirit of survival. That is the spirit humans admire." Minutes later, a soft knock sounded at the back door. Jace looked through a small hole and saw 3 figures dressed in dark protective gear. They carried compact weapons and moved with the skill of trained fighters. He opened the door, and they entered quickly. The leader was a woman with sharp eyes and steady posture. "You brought trouble to your home, Jace," she said. "But I trust your judgment. Show us the refugee." Jace stepped aside, revealing Lyra. The fighters stared in surprise. Lyra looked weak, but her presence carried a strange, quiet strength. The leader stepped closer. "You are the Sarana woman the raiders seek." "Yes," Lyra whispered. "I have information they want to destroy. If you protect me, I will share it. It can help stop them." The leader's expression hardened with determination. "Then you are valuable, and the raiders will not take you. Humans do not surrender to bullies. You are under our protection now." Lyra's eyes filled with emotion. "No one from the other houses believed me. No one helped me. Why do you trust me?" The leader placed a hand on her shoulder. "Because humans stand together when darkness grows." Outside, the searchlights moved closer again. Inside, a new alliance had formed, and the raiders had no idea what was waiting for them. The fighters gathered around the small table while Jace locked every door and window. Lyra stood near the corner, with her hand on the glowing crystal. Her breath was slow but controlled. She knew the next hours would decide her fate and the fate of the knowledge she carried. The leader of the resistance, named Rhea, studied her with sharp focus. "We need to move you to our bunker before the raiders return," Rhea said. "They will search this house again soon. Their scanners read energy that normal humans cannot." "Mask," Lyra lowered her eyes. "My energy is unstable because of my wounds. It will draw them closer. I fear I am a danger to your home." Jace stepped forward. "You are not a danger. You are a guest. We will protect you." A sudden explosion shook the ground. The house trembled as dust fell from the ceiling. Everyone froze. The fighters exchanged quick looks filled with urgency. Rhea rushed to the window and pulled the curtain aside. Her eyes widened. They started the ground sweep. "They are close." Searchlights cut through the darkness outside. The sweeping beams moved like giant white blades hunting for shadows. The sky roared as more raider ships descended lower. The colony alarm began to sound in the distance. A cold, rattling siren filled the air with fear. Lyra felt her heart tighten. "They know I am here. My energy must have flared." Rhea turned to her. "Then we move now. We do not wait for them to break down the door." Jace grabbed his jacket and a small tool pack. The fighters lifted their weapons. Lyra tried to stand, but her body shook. Jace caught her quickly. "Easy," he whispered. "Lean on me." She nodded with gratitude. Rhea opened the back exit. "Stay low. Move fast. Do not speak unless needed." The group stepped into the cold night. The air was sharp and thick with dust. The ground vibrated with the weight of raider ships landing near the edge of the colony. Blue search beams flashed across rooftops. Every second the danger grew. They ran down a narrow alley. Their shadows stretched across the walls. Lyra tried to keep up, but her injury slowed her. Jace kept his arm around her, steadying every step. Behind them, the sound of armored boots echoed. The raiders had entered the colony streets. Rhea raised her hand. Hide, now. They slipped behind a supply container just as a squad of raiders marched past. Their armor glowed with crimson lines. Their voices carried a cold, harsh tone. Scan for the Serana energy. The target is near. Capture on sight. Protect the crystal data at any cost. Lyra held her breath. Sweat formed on her forehead. The crystal around her neck began to pulse faster. Her fear was feeding it. Jace gently touched her arm and whispered very quietly, "You are safe. Focus. Control your breath." His voice steadied her. The crystal dimmed again. Once the raiders moved on, Rhea signaled the group to continue. The bunker was not far now. They moved behind buildings, staying in shadows. They reached an open courtyard when a sudden burst of blue light struck the ground in front of them. The shockwave threw dust into the air. Lyra stumbled. Jace shielded her. Rhea shouted, "Down!" They saw us. A raider ship descended overhead with a loud vibrating roar. A spotlight locked onto their position. Raiders moved in from both sides. Their weapons glowed with blue fire. Lyra felt panic rising again. The crystal pulsed wildly. "They want me. They will kill all of you just to reach me." Rhea aimed her weapon. Then we give them something they did not expect. Humans fight back. The battle began an explosion of light. Rhea and her fighters fired first. Blue flashes lit the courtyard. Raiders returned fire with powerful bursts that shook the ground. Jace pulled Lyra behind a broken metal barrier. Sparks rained over them as blasts hit the edges. Lyra clutched the crystal. "I can help. I have power they do not know." Jace looked at her with confusion. "What power?" Lyra inhaled deeply. Her voice turned calm and strong. "My people use sound to shape energy. We never used it for war, but I can no longer avoid it. If I release the frequency stored in my body, it will disrupt their armor." Jace stared at her. "You can do that?" "Yes, but it drains life force. I may not survive if I push too far." Jace shook his head. "We need you alive. We need your knowledge." Lyra touched his face gently. "If I do nothing, we all fall. I must try." She stepped out from behind the barrier. The raiders turned toward her. Their scanners screamed with high alarm. Lyra opened her mouth and released a deep rising tone. The sound was soft at first, then grew into a vibrating wave that spread across the courtyard. The raiders staggered. Their armor flickered. Their weapons lost power. The sound shook the air like a living storm. Rhea shouted with triumph. "She is disabling them. Advance." Humans charged forward. Raiders fell to their knees, struggling to stand. Lyra swayed. Her strength faded. Her vision blurred. Jace rushed to her side and held her up. "Stop, you will collapse," he said. She whispered through fading breath. "For your people, for mine." The raiders' armor cracked under the pressure. The tide of battle had shifted, and the night belonged to humanity once again. The courtyard slowly settled into silence after the fierce clash. The dust in the air drifted like fading smoke under the pale morning light. The raiders lay scattered across the ground with their armor cracked and powerless. Some tried to rise, but collapsed again. The humans had won this night. They had fought with courage the raiders never expected, but victory carried a heavy cost. Lyra stood weak and trembling. Her body felt lighter, as if parts of her strength had dissolved into the sound she released. She held on to Jace as her legs struggled to support her. Her breath came in soft, broken waves. Jace kept one arm around her waist and guided her to a safer corner behind a fallen metal pillar. "You did more than anyone could have asked," Jace said. "You saved us. You saved this colony." Lyra tried to smile, but her exhaustion made her head drop forward. "I only did what my heart told me. I could not let the raiders destroy another world. Not yours, not mine." Rhea approached with her fighters. Her face carried the fierce pride of a leader who witnessed bravery beyond words. "You gave us a chance. Without your sound, we would not have survived the attack. The raiders will retreat. They cannot fight without their armor. They will report failure to their leaders." Lyra took a deep breath. "They will return someday." "They always return." Rhea shook her head. "Not here, not now. We will strengthen our defenses, and we have something new. We have hope. Your story gives many reasons to stand united." Jace looked at the defeated raiders. "We should move inside before more ships arrive. Even desperate raiders can still be dangerous." The fighters began gathering weapons and securing the area. Jace lifted Lyra gently and carried her toward his home. She wanted to walk, but her body refused to obey. She rested her head against his shoulder. "You must think I am weak," she whispered. Jace shook his head with quiet force. "I think you are stronger than anyone I have ever met. You fought while wounded. You risked your life for a world that is not even your own. That is strength. That is heart." Her eyes softened. "My people never believed humans could feel such deep honor. We thought you were loud and unpredictable. We never saw this side of you." Jace smiled slightly. "We are loud. We are unpredictable, but we protect what matters." They entered his house. The walls still shook from the earlier explosions. Some furniture had fallen and broken. The air smelled like dust and burnt metal. Jace placed Lyra on the couch and wrapped her in a thick blanket. Rhea stepped inside with a medical kit. "You need rest. Your body used heavy energy and your cells are unstable." Lyra closed her eyes. "It hurts, but I can endure it." Rhea treated her injuries with steady hands. The crystal around Lyra's neck glowed faintly again. Its light warmed the room with a gentle blue hue. Jace watched it pulse and wondered how something so small could carry the entire memory of an entire race. As Rhea worked, Lyra opened her eyes and looked toward Jace. Her voice was soft but steady with meaning. "You accepted me when no one else did. You took me into your home. You stood against hunters who crossed galaxies to find me. You guided me through darkness. You protected me more than my own people could." Jace sat beside her. "I only did what felt right. Anyone with a heart would have helped you." Lyra reached out and touched his hand. "No, not anyone. Many doors closed on me tonight, but yours opened. You gave me safety, and more than that, you gave me trust. Trust is rare across worlds." Her fingers tightened around his. "Now that danger is gone, I want to ask you something again. Not as a plea, not from desperation. From choice." Jace felt a warm, sudden emotion rise in his chest. "What do you want to ask?" Lyra held his gaze with calm strength despite her weakness. "Will you accept me as your wife, not for protection, not for fear, for the new future we can build together?" The question stirred something deep within him. He thought about the night she first arrived. He thought about the fear in her eyes and the storm outside. He thought about how she changed everything with her courage. She was not just a guest now. She had become part of his story, part of his purpose. Jace nodded, slowly with sincere emotion. "Yes, Lyra, I accept. Not out of duty, out of heart." Tears shimmered in her eyes, but they were not tears of fear. They were tears of relief and hope. Outside, the first sunrise touched the colony. The light broke through clouds and painted the metal streets with gold. Humanity had won a small battle but gained something far more powerful. A bond between species. A spark of unity. A promise that darkness could not erase. Lyra smiled through her tears. Then let our new life begin. And with that, a new chapter opened for both human and alien. A chapter shaped by courage, trust, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity.